Jacquie Berger became the executive director of Lowcountry Local First after founder and former executive director Jamie Haley stepped down last year. Today, I talk one-on-one with Jacquie about what's new at Lowcountry Local First for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Jacquie Berger, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm doing just great, actually. I know that you are the executive director of Lowcountry Local First, which is a 501c3 nonprofit cultivating an economy anchored in local ownership. Because as you all say, local independent businesses are the cornerstone of the culture, economy, and character. What is that culture, economy, and character right now here in the Lowcountry?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that what's amazing about the Lowcountry is the diversity that we have here. There are folks who have been here for generations. There are folks who are fresh-faced and brand new here in the community. And we are doing together all the different kinds of things that it takes to make a community come together, hum, and grow. So I'm learning along with my team here about all the things that our community needs, all the creative and marvelous things that local entrepreneurs and local business leaders and owners and founders are doing and growing here in the Lowcountry, and constantly trying to get a better sense of what their needs are and making sure that we can help to support them as we build a local inclusive economy.
What is that local inclusive economy that you envision for the next 5 years?
That's a great question. So it's really not for me to envision, I don't think. It's really about our members and what they need and what they want. I think that one of our roles as Lowcountry Local First is to kind of create and light a North Star for the local business owners and entrepreneurs in our community to kind of see that we can do more, that we advocate for high road practices, and we advocate for people and profits and planet, and making sure that we are doing things that are not just serving our bottom line, but serving the greater common good as well. So we're here to kind of light that candle and keep people focused on advancing in that direction. But at the same time, the stresses of day-to-day business are keeping people in a grind. So how can we meet their needs today and tomorrow and over the next 5 years? So there are a lot of things that we're working on and a lot of things that we can do and will do.
Absolutely. Okay. What is the bottom line, and how do you match that with the common good?
What is the bottom line, and how do you match it with the common good? So I think there's a lot of answers to that question. One way that we are kind of focusing on all of our bottom lines and the common good is by encouraging folks to purchase from each other here in the Lowcountry. And I'm really proud to say that 100% of our members are already buying and supporting, patronizing each other's businesses here in the Lowcountry. And some of them are doing more than 50% of their purchasing are coming from local partners. That is outstanding, because 3 times the amount of money stays here in the local economy than if you're buying from retailers or from suppliers that are not based here in the Lowcountry. So the ramifications of that are almost infinite. The businesses that are owned here locally are doing more for us in our community. They're raising our tax base. They're investing in our kids' soccer teams. They're hiring our neighbors. There's all these incredible positive net effects when you're supporting each other. And so all of that is enhancing our common good as well as enhancing our shared bottom lines.
Absolutely. And what exactly is the tax base here in this Lowcountry region?
I don't know the tax base off the top of my head. I hate to say that to you, but I know that if you are a locally owned business, you're going to be paying more to support our schools and our roads and our bridges and all of our municipal systems. So that money returns to our community many, many fold. And
this might be a redundant question, but how do you make certain that the money that stays in the community is actually circulated in the community?
Well, I think that our members are doing an amazing job of that. So when folks sign up and they join Lowcountry Local First, We provide them with resources and toolkits and networking events and all different ways to kind of make connections and sort of rethink some of their business practice to be able to shift some of their spending into the local economy. So whether it's working with local caterers or a local bookkeeper or local HR, like all of those things can be provided here in our community. And there are amazing people who can provide you with these services. So then you're not just getting the service done, you're also building a relationship with somebody in your community. So it's just a win-win.
Win-win. And speaking of building relationships, I know that you've been on the job for only 3 months, but what relationship do you hope to build on?
All of them. So I have been kind of making the rounds over just my really quick, 90 days in this seat, getting to know the businesses in our community, getting to know the local elected officials who are helping to build and shape policies that have a huge impact on our local businesses here in the community. I'm getting to know some of the entrepreneurs who are going through or recently graduated from our Community Business Academy, which is a great system, great resource. Hi. For getting folks who are traditionally overlooked entrepreneurs into a wonderful, intensive, award-winning 12-week program that's going to give them all the resources they need to run their business. And then we continue to support them on the other end with accelerator services and credit to capital counseling. So getting to know the folks who are going through that program, who have built that program, and then also the businesses that you're going to be working with over the upcoming Buy Local season. We have lots of really exciting things in store for folks to be able to come out, buy local, feel good, and support their neighbors while they do their holiday shopping. So thinking about all the different ways that we can come out and support each other.
Absolutely. And I know, Jackie, you obviously have been living in Charleston for a while and obviously worked in the development world prior to this particular job. What are those overlooked entrepreneurs that you want to bring to the Lowcountry Local First organization?
So we have, right now, more than 70% of those entrepreneurs qualify as low income. So we have a real big focus on making sure that it's folks that have not necessarily had access to this kind of training program before. We're focused on looking at the communities around us and seeing who has been left out. Where can we help build generational wealth? Because if we can train people to start and run their own businesses, they'll build wealth for themselves and for their families and in their communities because they'll start hiring their neighbors. So it's an amazing way for us to kind of help to transform the community, to build equity. And so we're really focused on that. Our average participant in the program is a 41-year-old woman with 2 children. So we're looking for, but we've had people in the program from ages 18 to 81. We want everybody. We even have a Spanish language cohort. We had our first one last year. We're recruiting right now for our fall semester. So if Spanish is your native language, it's so much easier to take the course in Spanish. So that's available for folks too. And we also are going to have at least one cohort that we offer online. So if there's mobility issues or transportation issues, we don't want anybody to be left out of this. And we've been able to raise a lot of funds from different supporters to be able to make this program essentially free, even though it's a $3,000 per person program. It's essentially free for our participants. They just pay for the materials fee. So we're actually gearing up for that right now and very excited to be able to welcome 60 new students in this fall.
Wow, that is amazing, Jackie. What is the state of generational wealth?
Well, Quintin, I think that we are all very well aware that, especially kind of in this post-COVID era, we're seeing this increasingly disparate recovery. So, we see this economic rebound and the stock market is way, way, way up, but there are millions of Americans still in economic free fall. So we have this K-shaped recovery, and that is hugely problematic for all of the very obvious reasons. Too many people are left out of the opportunity to buy property, to own property, to start their own businesses, to run their own businesses, to access capital, to fund their businesses. The list of challenges inherent in that goes on and on. And so, we're doing what we can do. We have this entrepreneurship program. We have an incubator here where folks can come in and share our co-working space. We provide access to business coaching, and all kinds of support services, wraparound services to get folks up and running so that they can be successful and chase their dreams. Not everybody is cut out for entrepreneurship, but we're really excited to capture the folks that are geared for entrepreneurship and give them the training, resources, and support they need to achieve their dreams.
And I've always thought about this, Jackie, but where in the Low Country can you actually access capital?
So that's a great question, Quintin. And what I'm really happy to say is that our local lenders, because we have lots of different local CDFIs who are dedicated to making money available in the community. And with I guess as one of the side effects of the pandemic, that's a positive side effect, they've gotten a lot more flexible in terms of lowering their fees and reducing their collateral requirements. So money is more accessible now, I think, than it was 18 months ago. But, those entrepreneurs that I referred to before, most of the folks coming into our program have no money saved to start a business. So it's awesome that there are loans available. There's money coming into the system that is much more flexible. However, what we found over the course of the pandemic is that these small business owners really need money that has no strings attached. So not a loan, but a grant. And we had some really amazing, flexible, and innovative funders come in and say, we just want to give money to some of these struggling small businesses. And we were able to act as a pass-through. We had an application process. We were able to support 61 small businesses in the community. 50 small businesses, $61,000 were distributed in grants. So nobody has to pay us back. They could pay for the space that they had, pay employees to make payroll. They had all the flexibility, no strings attached. And unfortunately, I think that that's the kind of need that's going to persist in this community for some time.
Absolutely. And there's a talk I'm going to do, but I'll make it happen here. But let me talk to you about this, Jackie. Where are the pockets of economic rebounding here in the Low Country?
So I think we see rebounding all over the place, which is great. I feel like the Low Country is super eager to get back out there and do things in person again. So, certainly people are going back into restaurants, back into retail. We're not locked in our houses anymore, which is wonderful. So we're able to make that happen. And we're seeing huge problems from the folks who are running the small businesses anyway, because hiring, you'll hear everywhere you go that hiring is a tremendous challenge. And, we offer workshops for our members on recruitment and retention, but this is going to be a pain point, I think, for businesses in the Low Country, not just in the short term, but probably in the mid to long term as well.
And I know earlier you talked about economic equity. Are we talking about inequity, or are we talking about poverty?
So I feel like over the past 18 months, we've had a lot more conversations about the differences between equality and equity. And I think here at Lowcountry Local First, we're here for equity, to building systems, supports, scaffolding, things that really will help to level the playing field. Certainly the folks who have been most hard hit in this over the pandemic have been communities of color and women. They've been the hardest hit. So those are the folks that we're going to reach out to with the most support and services that we can offer to help people get back into where they need to be to help support their families and communities. But small businesses are operating from a point of deficit as well. It's very hard to compete when there are big players coming into the system. And also, folks that never shopped online before learned how to do it over the course of the pandemic. So when we surveyed our members, they said, everybody's shopping online, and how do we meet that? How do we address that and bring our consumers back into our stores and our restaurants? So we're working with them on that as well.
And obviously I love to be in store shopping, face to face as well. But let me ask you, where is the wealth inequity and the income inequality here in the Low Country?
I think it's spread out. There are definitely communities that have had just tradition, like have had generations of disinvestment. But I think the pain point comes now when there are investors moving in and trying to capitalize in different communities where there is more development. And those development pressures threaten to gentrify and to push out some of the communities, who have been there for generations. So we're looking to make investments and to support entrepreneurs in those communities so that they can take over the main drag, set up retail operations, and continue to create thriving businesses, even in the face of gentrification and other development pressures.
What are those current development pressures?
So, I think that, for example, we have a partnership in the Chicora Cherokee neighborhood where we work with Metanoia, and we have leased from them a retail space, and we created a subsidy program so that we can take folks who have come through our Community Business Academy and give them the opportunity to get a toehold, to get their businesses set up in a great storefront. And we help them to kind of take the edge off what it costs to have rent in those retail spaces. So that's just one example of an area where there are huge development pressures, but there are families and communities that's been there for generations that needs to be able to stay in that community and to do well and to compete. So we're working with some great partners around that.
Yes, and that is ironically my running route. So that's every week I'm running that area. So yeah.
Oh, good. So you'll start to see some new things there. We have some new tenants moving in who just moved in last month. So very excited to see what they're doing in that space.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's dangerous that you're running right past Daddy's Girl Bakery.
I heard they have some great food in there, but I got to keep skinny.
Yeah, I know, you got to run right past.
Right.
But then you can circle back because you need more energy to keep you going.
Those carbs, you need those carbs. And Jackie, this might be a tough question here, but who are the top 1% of percent income here in the Lowcountry?
I don't have that sort of outside of my wheelhouse in terms of the kind of data that I'm gathering, but I'm going to guess that there's some folks who are new to the community, some folks who have been here for a really long time. And that 1%, they can do really innovative things too in terms of local business ownership and the way that they reinvest in our community and to do philanthropy. So there's definitely a huge wealth gap. But I think that there are some really creative philanthropists in that top 1% that are really looking to give back and to kind of share the wealth here in the community. And I think that the most innovative of those are investing in programs that are going to build wealth at the grassroots to kind of help to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to do well and to do good here in the community.
And what are those programs that you're offering now at Lowcountry Local First?
So, as I mentioned before, we have this Good Enterprises program where we are bringing in entrepreneurs to come through our 12-week Community Business Academy. And then we continue to nurture them with business accelerator services and coaching. And then we graduate them to credit to capital. Access to capital, as we've been saying, is a huge challenge and a huge issue here in the community. So we're working on that. We do all year round. We're doing advocacy and education, networking, all different opportunities for people to come together. We also, as part of our advocacy work, are bringing local elected officials in to talk with businesses about what their particular pain points are. Last week, we had a great session here to talk about access to funding. This feels like a very prevalent theme for us. So we're working on that. As we look out to the fall, we have our Buy Local season coming up. So we're going to do all over the Lowcountry. We're going to be organizing some Buy Local Feel Good fests for people to come out, support their local businesses, maybe learn about some local businesses that they didn't know where they were there, and kind of celebrate the opportunity to build community together around that. And then looking a little further afield, we've got our summit, which we hold every February. So that's a great place for business owners, business leaders, and for folks who are working in local businesses to come out, network, learn some new best practices, and gain the inspiration and mojo you need to do this hard work in the community every day.
And what are those, normal practices that people haven't been practicing?
So we want to help people to figure out how they can do good and do well. So what are the things they can focus on? You can look at the way, as a small business, you can look at the way that you treat your people. And this is going to really help your retention. But there are some incredible luminaries here in the Lowcountry and across the country who are doing really innovative things around the way that they build a structure for their employees and engage their employees in the way that they run things. So, they can build equity right there within their small business or their locally owned business. We can look at sustainability. So how can we be gentler and kinder to the planet? Obviously, the planet needs us. I mean, we're on fire or underwater. So what can we do? We have a responsibility to take care of each other and the planet. So what can we do as a local business owner to sort of adopt new practices to increase our sustainability? Looking at equity, are we shifting our buying practices to locally owned businesses? And can we specifically focus on supporting BIPOC owned businesses to make sure that we are spreading the wealth across our community, not just in the circles that we travel? So how do we make sure that we are really investing across the community? So those are just a couple of the high points I think that you can expect to get out of the summit in February.
And what are those popular circles here in the Lowcountry?
I'm sorry?
What are those popular circles in the Lowcountry when you talk about spreading the wealth?
I mean, I think we all kind of tread in our same circles, whether we're talking about geography or social stratus. We kind of we're in our little kind of bubbles. And I think that one of the things we want to do at Lowcountry Local First is burst those bubbles. So when we invite people to come out to a networking event, we're moving them around and we're inviting folks from across the Lowcountry to come together, meet each other, connect with some new faces and new people, and kind of identify some new opportunities. So I think that building bridges is so important. I think that over the past 18 months of a pandemic, we've all sort of been pushed inside and sealed off and closed off. Our worlds have become even smaller. And I think we're all really tired of that at this point and really looking to come back out and to reconnect. There are so many social issues, I think, that people have been faced with, even in their increasing isolation, and that's also been really hard. I think people are exhausted and feeling really tapped out and need an opportunity to be able to connect with people, to feel like they're supporting and building community. These are just basic human needs for that kind of connection. And so we want to help create the places and spaces and means for people to do that with each other.
Now, okay, who are you connecting with to identify new opportunities for Lowcountry Local First?
I think we're going up, down, and sideways. So we are always surveying our members to see what their needs are. We're also, always looking to recruit new folks to our board who can bring different vision, different perspectives, and speak from different communities of experience. So building a really nice, diverse board that can inform the way that we continue to grow the organization. Working with partner organizations throughout the ecosystem to identify the gaps so that we can work together to fill them. There's no reason for us all to run all the same programs. We can help each other and complement each other and refer people to each other. I find that in our local economic development space, we're really good about that, but that needs to be nurtured and encouraged.
And I got to get to another question here, but you talk obviously about local businesses that people might not have heard of before, and I see it all the time on Instagram or going to North Mount Pleasant or North Charleston or downtown. What is one local business that you've actually stumbled upon that you didn't know about?
Oh, I keep on exploring new things. For example, last week, I wanted to try a new place for lunch, and so there's a place down the street called Torres Sucret, which I had never heard of, which is supposed to be the most amazing taco. So that was just like a referral from here in local work. So I'm right here in our co-working space where there are all kinds of people running all kinds of businesses or doing all kinds of work remotely and together, which is lovely. And we can refer each other to wonderful spaces. But I also have learned so much just by kind of perusing. We have an online directory and an app, so there are lots of kind of places you can go to find whatever it is you need, whether you're shopping for furniture or a gift for a friend or finding somewhere to have your taxes done or to get your teeth cleaned. These are all local businesses. It's not just about, shopping. But also obviously all of our locally owned restaurants are amazing. So lots of different things you can do if you want to move your money to spend it more locally.
Absolutely. And speaking of space, Jackie, what co-working space has to be addressed really in the shadow of rising rates of commercial real estate?
Yeah, that is definitely, if you're looking for like top 4 pressing issues that are facing our members, real estate comes up, and it comes up time and time again. And we've been having conversations. Again, this is some of the advocacy work that we're doing, is seeing if we can explore something innovative we can do. Like right now, that retail arrangement that I mentioned, like we personally, as an organization, are subsidizing that. That could be scalable, but is that the way to go? So there definitely need to be policy changes to address the fact that smaller local businesses have a harder time accessing real estate all over the Lowcountry. I think there are some really amazing developers in this community that are looking to do the right thing for their community, that are really interested in supporting local businesses. And they need to be able to do that without taking a huge financial hit. So how can we work with them to make sure that there are incentives in place if they're placing local businesses or if they're placing BIPOC-owned businesses in their spaces? It would be great to see some incentives designed to support them. But yeah, that there are all those issues and factors, which is why we developed a co-working space. So Local Works is our co-working space. We have community floater desks, we have permanent desks, we have closed door offices like the one I'm sitting in right now. We've got great coffee and meeting rooms, so it's really nice to be able to come together and build community, even as we're all working remotely, and maybe for all different kinds of employers. So, and it's really exciting to see small businesses get their start here, grow here, and graduate to a place that can, once they get big enough that this is no longer enough to meet their needs.
And I'm sitting 2 blocks away from Lower King Street here. But what is the typical rate for commercial real estate here in the Lowcountry?
Quintin, you're asking me such great questions that I don't know off the top of my head. For some reason, I think, I'm not going to speculate. But it tends to be kind of jaw-droppingly high. I know that, when businesses go out there and try to find the space, they have like maybe $15 a square foot in mind, and they find out that it's 26. So like, then all of a sudden that access becomes untenable, but they need access to brick and mortar. That is the way that they're going to start to grow their business. And beyond that, small business owners would love to own their own businesses, because then they're not constantly passing that money off to a landlord. So I think there are tremendous opportunities for policymakers and philanthropy to help small businesses and locally owned businesses to get access to real estate.
Yes, indeed. And I know you talked about the ecosystem earlier during this interview, but where exactly do you identify those gaps in the entrepreneurial ecosystem right now?
Well, I think it's been really exciting to see sort of different organizations moving in to figure out how they can address the gaps in the entrepreneur ecosystem. I think they are, right now, there's still room in this environment. So folks are focusing on whether they're providing a program specifically for women, or whether they're providing a program specifically for tech. And as we build out our own program, looking like, do we develop a track that is specifically for people who are going into a food business? Because we just so happen to have a lot of, really delicious bakers coming through our system. So like, do we zero down on that, or do we zero down on contractors who have, their own sets of challenges? When you bring these folks together to network and talk shop, they identify shared pain points, and you just have to kind of stand around and listen to hear what their challenges are, and figure out how, as a nonprofit, we might be able to address them, or where we can point them to get resources.
And what do you anticipate as far as pain points in the next 5 years?
Well, I think that there are some challenges that we're feeling right now today that are going to stay with us. The need for access to more folks to hire. When you see restaurants that are not operating all the days that they used to operate, it's not because they don't want to. It's because they can't get fully staffed, and that's a really big challenge. We were doing some advocacy around the jobs plan because there need to be big systemic fixes that come in and big investments that are made in order to free people up to go back into the workplace, because folks are sidelined not because they're choosing to be, but because they're stuck caring for family members, different kinds of challenges there. So I think that's one of the big challenges. The real estate challenges is going to continue to stay with us, especially as we recover. We see the real estate getting demand going up. So how are we going to address that? Make sure that our local business owners have access to local real estate, access to capital, despite all these really interesting new ways that folks are making money come into the Lowcountry. What we hear when we talk to local business owners and to these emerging entrepreneurs is that they're still struggling to access capital. So what kinds of new innovative programs can we bring here, seed here, develop here to help folks access capital, and continue to drive people into local businesses, because online competition isn't going away. So how can we help our local businesses compete in the face of online platforms?
Yeah, and I was just passing some restaurants just the other day, and unfortunately, they had to close a day early or close a couple of hours early because they didn't have a staff.
Exactly. And we're seeing those signs all over the place. And it really doesn't seem to discriminate. It's affecting businesses of all shapes, sizes, and strata. So it's with us for the long haul. And, most of our businesses were never paying minimum wage. We're always paying more than minimum wage. So that's not the issue. There are bigger systemic issues at play. And that's why we, appreciate the members that support us so that we can do the advocacy work to try to do the systemic change that's needed in order to help to fix the system.
And I want to talk to you about that in my next interview with you, hopefully. But let me ask you this, Jacquie. How will the Lowcountry Local First keep up with growth with smart growth?
Good growth with smart growth. That's a great question. I think that all of the good growth, I think good growth and smart growth are the growth that we're sort of here for. And I think it's also through our network of partners. So, for example, we had a presentation come to us last week about the local rapid transit system that's going to be coming in. We're really optimistic about what that will do for businesses in our community and for helping people get around. So helping folks to find out what kind of new projects like that are coming down the pike, how they can benefit from it, and how they can support those projects and get involved. I think that that's a great example of a system that's like environmentally sustainable and going to really help to address the transportation and traffic issues that we're facing on the peninsula, and help more workers get to more places that really need them.
And if I were to come back and interview you again for Quintin's Close-Ups in the next 6 months, you'll say what?
I'll say that I've learned so much more about what our members need. I really, I think that even though we do keep our fingers on the pulse, I'm always so curious about, our environment is changing so rapidly right now as we enter this recovery stage. So I definitely want to keep my fingers on the pulse of what our businesses are doing and how they're evolving. And I know that we're going to learn a lot as we go through our next Buy Local season and through our next summit, which is all the things that are going to be happening in the next 6 months. So I hope you'll be there with us for those really exciting things, and we can learn together about what our local businesses need and how we can support them.
Jacquie Berger, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much for having me, Quintin. It's been delightful talking with you this morning.
Likewise.